the paint color fits in as the diffuse element of our material. So let's make a little bit of room and hit Shift A to add a diffuse BSDF, which I will drag down here below the anisotropic BSDF. And visually, as we layer this material together, our node network will grow from the upper left corner and stretch down to the lower right corner. So that way it makes a little more visual sense to you watching. And now that we have the diffuse BSDF element, we need to mix it with our anisotropic BSDF. So Shift A to bring up our add menu, shader, mix shader node, and I'll drop that in the middle of this noodle, and then plug in our diffuse BSDF to the bottom socket. Notice that the default factor for the mix shader is set to 0.5. But if we think about this logically, as if we were actually painting this object in real life, this is sort of the equivalent of watering down our paint by 50%, which isn't what we want to do. Really, we want full paint opacity. And now the paint completely covers up our metallic element. But don't worry, because later in this material, we're going to bring back the metallic element through the scratches texture. But for the sake of demonstration, I'm trying to create this material with a direct correlation to how it would be done in real life. And so we've got our paint color. It's just this almost white value, which is not what I want. I actually have a texture that I want to plug in here. So to add an image texture, again, go to the Shift A Add menu, and in our texture section, choose Image Texture. And I'll go ahead and plug in the RGB color socket into the color socket of our diffuse BSDF. And immediately you'll see our object turn this obnoxious hot pink color. And this is what I think is kind of a clever way for Blender to tell the user that, hey, just a warning, I'm sourcing a texture that I can't find. So anytime you see this pink, whether it's on an object like this, or if the world is lighting up pink, for example, if I remove the image texture from the world, now our whole scene is lighting up pink, you can immediately know that there's a texture missing somewhere. And so we just need to source our texture properly. And in the case of this material, we simply haven't selected the texture yet. So let's open that texture file, and it's called Gizmo Color. And there we go, our texture is being mapped to the object correctly. And that's because our object has UVs, and the image texture node will automatically use those UVs if it's present in the model. And so we don't have to worry about setting any texture coordinates either inside the node or through this vector socket, which allows us to keep our network pretty simple for this demonstration. And so currently we only have the color side of the paint. We haven't addressed the finish of the paint. And I'm going for kind of a semi-gloss, which we will be adding in the next lesson.